All right, we are trying a Wild and Brave live today. Welcome. If you're new to Wild and Brave, we're so glad you're here. If you're one of our friends who used to come a lot to our challenges or have fun with us on Facebook, we hope you find your way over here to YouTube, where we're going to start doing our live training and interactive coaching in the future. Today, we have a topic of really, how do we make it easier to do our work? Everyone that I know is busy with things. They're busy with activities for their family, busy with work advancement, trying to dig out of the backlog of all the things that they need to do. This coaching was actually scheduled for the Monday that was right before a hurricane arrived, Hurricane Milton, and we were busy evacuating. So today we're going to dive in. We're going to look at the techniques that I use to make it easier to do work even while I'm evacuating for a hurricane, while I'm dealing with a difficult sensory day. For those of you who know, I have a sensory disorder called hyperacusis. And sometimes I have sensory backlash that can make it really hard to think and focus. If you're a ghostwriter, if you're a coach or a creative person, not being able to think clearly is extra difficult. But I think we all have the same problem. When we can't think clearly, when we feel overwhelmed, if we feel behind, it makes getting the important things even harder to get done, and it's more discouraging to try. So, at Wild and Brave, we like to take wild ideas, sometimes very small concepts or little ways of changing how we approach something. And we take brave action to help ourselves be more energized and to take more joy in the work that we're doing, but feel more fulfilled as we accomplish it. Doesn't have to go right, but sometimes just giving something a try can really make a difference. So if you're here, I'm watching the comments. Feel free to say hi to us on the live stream. If you're catching the replay, put your comments in like you're live. Chances are someone will come after you. And if I see questions in the comments in the future, I'll circle back and answer them in the comments or film a video so you can have more of a discussion if you have a topic. So let's dive into today's topic. Today, we're looking at how to make it easier to do your work. And as we went into the planning for the content that we're covering right now at Wild and Brave, we kind of centered it around this wish, this wild and brave wish. You may have seen it on our social media. We're kind of thinking in terms of this wish for everything we put out in October. The wish is, may you be free to focus on what matters. So, whatever matters to you today, it may be important to you because it has lasting significance. It may be important to you because it's urgent. And if it doesn't get done, somebody will be inconvenienced, or maybe it may cause a real problem for them. Whatever matters, we hope that you feel free to work on it. And we're going to do our best to give you some wild ideas of ways to have that free feeling of freedom and that capacity to do your work. So today, as I was working on the content, I was really thinking in terms of, if we were to say three ways to make it easier to get your work done, what would those be? And the first one I want to mention is how the human brain does really well when we prime it with purpose. Now, urgency happens to us. Something catches fire, something needs our attention. Who out there has something that is on fire right now and you're trying to take care of it? You're trying to deal with what needs to be done. When fires pop up, the urgency grabs our attention. But when your brain does its own proactive work without things flying at you, what you tend to run on is meaning and purpose. What really matters to you. So one of the ways you can increase your energy is by taking a brief second to remind yourself. Motivation researchers call it priming yourself, and you remind yourself and focus on something that matters to you. So, your purpose, if you're someone who has a purpose statement in your job for your role, you might prime yourself for your workday with your role, the meaningful, valuable purpose in your role. I'm wearing a shirt today to honor my sister, who is an occupational therapist, and it says occupational therapy, facilitating life's adventures. And in a lot of ways, that is literally what she does every day when she is in acute care helping people who've hit a bump in the road on their life's adventure, and she facilitates them getting on with their adventure, helping them embrace life and participate in all of the crucial occupations of caring for themselves and doing the activities that matter. In occupational therapy, you can't even work with somebody on a therapy if you don't connect to what they care about. It is an occupational therapy if the patient, the person receiving it, doesn't connect to what actually matters to them as an individual. So, priming with purpose, it might be your role, the purpose of your role that you connect with. And that can be energizing, especially when you're lined up in a role where what you do matters to you. But you have other purpose as well in your life. You might think of the purpose you have in your role as a friend, the purpose you have as a family member. My sister and I take a lot of joy in the fact that we're sisters. Many of you have met my sister, Megan, the occupational therapist. Seeing myself as a sister and that energizes me with purpose as I go about my day as well. Um, what that energy does is because it's connect to meeting, it's authentic. And when we expend our energy in pursuit of something that matters to us, that energy comes back to us in the form of fulfillment. It's like working a really long, hard day doing something important and sleeping like a baby at night. The other thing that priming yourself for purpose does for you is it increases your priority awareness. It kind of primes or shifts your perspective when you're trying to prioritize your workload. If you've reminded yourself what matters, facilitating life's adventures, or in my coaching, helping people understand their world is one of the purposes for coaching for me. Help people understand and kind of think into what's happening in their world. If I prime myself for that and I look at a task list full of all these activities, my awareness is going to catch on the things that support that meaningful purpose. It will help me prioritize the stuff that really matters to me. Sometimes we have genuinely too much on our plate. It won't all get done. Even if we did the most amazing job trying our hardest during the day, it won't all be done. So, what better way to make sure you're making progress than to prime your awareness with what matters so that your prioritization follows? The other thing that I've noticed the most is when we prime ourselves with purpose, our urgency sensitivity reduces. So, if you don't prime with purpose, it's usually the loudest tasks, the scariest things that grab all of your attention. But if you prime yourself with purpose, it creates this slight protective layer over your nerves and your distractibility. It gives a little bit of a protective coating that helps you feel less attacked, less activated by that urgency because the meaningful is there as a little bit of a buffer. You can say yes, yes, that needs to be done. Yes, yes, we've got to do it, but it isn't the whole reason we're here. Putting out fires isn't the only reason I breathe. I also live for this. So you might be saying, okay, I'd like to prime myself with purpose. I would love to decrease my urgency sensitivity so I don't feel like I am just running all the time. How do I do that? How do I prime myself for purpose? A couple of easy ways. The easiest one is to get practice with figuring out a phrase, and you may try a few on for size. Some people think of this as like their life purpose phrase. It could be a piece of poetry or a verse that really resonates with you as to why you're here in the world, why you're here in this relationship or in this profession. And remind yourself of those words and connect with it and enjoy that. So sometimes it helps to find words. It becomes a little project where you write out your purpose. But the way I do it most frequently is in something we'll look at soon called 3D planning. 3D planning, where you plan in three dimensions. The first dimension is this season of your life. And I've gotten a lot of energy from taking a small moment to say, what do I feel like the season of my life is for? What is its purpose? What am I learning? What am I achieving? Who am I? Who am I in community with? What is the opportunity? What is the challenge? And I think about the season of life I'm in. Is it a learning season? Is it a grateful season? A season where maybe you are being forced to rely on the help of others? If in your 3D planning process, you start by saying, what is this season for? You are priming yourself with purpose. We'll do more on 3D planning in another talk. I think we have it scheduled in a few weeks from now. So we'll circle back to that if you want to learn about the other two dimensions. But that's probably the easiest way to prime yourself with purpose is to either create a purpose statement that you can check in with or to simply reflect. A lot of us who journal find that purpose can surf to the top if we ask ourselves the question, okay, what really matters to me today? And try to put it in positive terms, meaning if you want to avoid messing up at work, your priority needs to be some positive version of that. I want to all of my customers wholeheartedly today. Or I want to pay attention while I'm logged on. Whatever it is that looks like, instead of saying what you don't want, make sure you put it in terms of what you do want. That can prime you for purpose. All right. The other two ways to make getting stuff done easier will be quick. In my book, where we talk about the mental growth tactic of separating your planning from your doing, is a really simple concept. It doesn't take time to cover. It simply recognizes that anytime you try to get something done on purpose, you are asking your central executive, the part of your brain that is high energy consumption. It takes a lot of energy to power up your central executive to focus on purpose. And when you power up your brain like that and you interrupt your brain to go start doing something, to take care of this piece of mail, to anytime you interrupt your brain in focus mode, it's kind of like starting your engine again. Used to be, at least when you started your engine, it took more gasoline than leaving it running for 20 seconds. It's almost like continually starting your car instead of ever going somewhere. Uses up more mental focus and energy. So when you want to be efficient and effective and get things done, if you stop taking action for a minute and you do a little planning, you make a list of the things that need to be done. You look at your calendar and say, when will I do the things that need to be done? And you just plan first and finish making a plan. Even if you don't, most plans don't succeed to be followed exactly. But the process of planning creates a pattern recognition cascade where you get an idea of how you think you might do your work. That's really what a plan is. Here's a hypothesis. And then as you go about your day trying to accomplish things, you realize that, wait, I I remember these three things I'm trying to do. I could do them all here. And the pattern comes together in your head, sometimes while you're still working. Sometimes you find the pattern as you're planning, and that's a bonus. But whenever you increase your ability to synthesize your workload, to understand and visualize it, it allows patterns to emerge where you can do things like batching, handling similar tasks quickly together. takes less mental energy and often a lot less time. And it also helps you recognize and notice patterns of work that is of action resistant, something that's on your list and on your list and on your list. You can start to say, why is this so hard for me to do? Should I be the one doing it? Do I need help? Why am I doing this again? And the aerodynamics of your workload improve when you actually allow your brain planning space. So that's separating planning from doing. If you want to read more about it, it's Mental Growth Tactic 10 in Think Wild. So you can get your copy of that or pull it out and take a peek. Um, the third way to make it easier to get stuff done is using action words. So I got out my list for yesterday and looking at what the first word is. If you're someone who makes a task list or a project list or has your action list, like we make in checklist rehab, you know that the first word at the beginning of the action item tells your brain how easy it is to do. And what are the do words? Do words are action words. So the words I started my tasks with yesterday were fix, update, invite, build out, sketch, take, update. I had a lot of updating yesterday. Send, complete and share, review, look for a way to, and pull. So they all start out with verbs because if I can write down a verb, I've found the action. If you have stuff on your list that starts with a noun, the stuff of it, like I might list a project. One project I'm working on a project on my website. What if I was to put a website banner and write website banner on my action list? What is the action that goes with the website banner? Do I need to create one? Do I need to optimize the size of it? What is it that I need to do to that banner? If it's just the banner, I can't do a banner. So even though talking to me about it, I would be able to explain it. My brain looks at website banner and it sees something with no clear action. That means it's heavy. It makes it sticky to do. It's hard to win at. So that's the third way to make getting stuff done easier. And it's simply to use action words. Action words increase clarity, especially when you can sharpen down that action word. Like one of the most effective things I put on my list yesterday was look for a way to. And I had to remember this was a project that I just needed to do a little research on my project. I have to look for a way to fit this thing in. Okay, great. I knew you know what looking for something is. It's more of a planning strategy step. But then updating something or building out something, my brain knows what that means. So when I move to that spot on my list, it's got an action word to get me going. All right, guys, thank you for joining me today. We love having you here at Wild and Brave. You can check out wildandbrave.com for more blog articles and free videos like this. Whatever you go on to do after you finish watching this video, we hope that you can feel wholehearted and feel free to focus on it, and that maybe some of these wild ideas will make it easier for you to do that. So, as you head out today, remember to separate your planning from doing. Don't interrupt yourself while you're still making a plan to start trying to get stuff done. Prime yourself for purpose. Remind yourself why it matters that you are who you are, why it matters that you care about the thing that you care about, and see your energy improve. And at the end of the day, the action that you take, sometimes thinking, reflecting, making a decision or asking a question is exactly the question. It's exactly the action that you need to take. So, thank you for visiting us at Wild and Brave. I'm Coach Morgan, and we'll see you next time.